Hello everyone and welcome. In today's video I'm going to show you guys how to replace the power sliding door actuation solenoid on your third generation Honda Odyssey covering model years 2005 through 2010. Now the problem on this van is that when you go and unlock the vehicle and then you try to actuate the door, that you're going to hear the power actuator buzz and then the door jam and not open properly. So you can hear that, and then if you operate it again, that it'll open. Now I do want to call out in this video that this is not my vehicle, this is actually a customer's of mine, and they have a whole bunch of little kids, so hence why it's very messy. Now the power actuator is also triggered when you gently pull out the door handle, and you can hear it buzzing, and the door is jammed again. Now, one way to get around this is by holding the handle out, which fully pulls the cable to release the latch in the lower door that prevents the door from closing on an incline. If you hold it all the way out, then the door won't jam. And likewise, if you pull it all the way out and hold it, which means it's pulling the latch open completely to release the door rollers, it opens just fine. Same thing with the inside. If you push the handle back and forth on the door and you hold it to assist that motor, then the door doesn't jam. Now before we can do any work on the sliding doors, we need to actually disable the power sliding doors temporarily so that we can manually move the door back and forth to get at the actuator, because the door will have to be opened about halfway. You can accomplish this by flipping the power sliding door switch, power switch that's above the door controls on the left hand side of the steering column. So before we actually do the repair job, we need to remove at least one of the second row seats, depending on which side you're working on, so that you actually have enough clearance on the inside of the van to remove your door panel. We want to position the door to be at about the halfway mark. So before we actually do the door panel removal, we actually have to take off this window trim first because it's sitting on top of the door panel. Before doing that though, we actually have to remove these sun visor clips. This is the thing that holds the sun visor up. Now you need a little tool like this, little hook pick tool, and you basically just go into the middle of the hook and you want to press down very gently, and you'll see that this bottom portion pops out, and you want to just keep prying at it until it unlocks, and then you can pull it out like this. I'm going to do the same for this one. Pop it out and remove it. And then because this trim is held in with a series of clips, what I like to do is I like to start on this corner, and I just like to gently pull until I can pop and reveal a clip. So pop this out like this and then begin pulling down, and it shouldn't take a lot of force to remove these. You can shift the door back and forth a little bit. You get to this corner, you're going to pull out and towards you at a diagonal to free those clips, like so. Make sure you pay attention if there's any clips in the trim. They've been stuck in the frame, make sure you take them off and put them back in, or if they're broken, replace them. Now the door handle has to come off, and inside the handle there's actually a rod, right? It rotates back and forth, but it's held in with like a circlip looking clip. To remove the securing circlip, we're going to take our curved pick tool and reach under the handle to engage the edge of the clip and pull straight down to remove it. Just to give you a side view of how to remove the circlip on this door handle, you basically have to push the interior trim panel to give you a little bit of a gap, and you're going to use the hook tool like this to try to hook that little wire clip out from the inside of this handle. And you'll see it, and unfortunately this camera can't capture it properly, but I'll give you a view of what this looks like once it's been popped off. This is what the back of the handle looks like. You'll see that it's got the splines to slide onto that rod, but underneath it, right here, there's a groove on both sides. And there's actually a little clip like this that I pulled out. So normally, when you're reinstalling the handle, the clip looks like that. But to take it off, you have to push against the door panel, right, with the handle in place. get this little pick tool, get in here, hook it, and then you just pull it so that you free it. And that's how that handle comes off. With the clip removed, I'm going to take our trim panel tool and we're just going to pry that handle off. And you'll notice here on the shaft that there's a notch. That's where that little clip locks into to prevent this handle from popping off during use. Now once we remove this handle, we need to now remove the power window switch. And we can accomplish this by taking a plastic pry tool and putting it in between the fabric and the switch area and just prying away to free it, and it goes from back up like this. And the reason why is that there's just a little hooked end, so it comes out like this and then out. Press on the little wire connector and disconnect it. Using our trim tool, we're going to pry against the seams of our door panel, and you might need more than one pry tool. But you want to get in behind here to open up a gap, and then taking another tool to pop those clips off. So once you've got the panel freed, you can actually shift the door around and tug at the door until the clips release. When the door panel clips have been completely released, you can shift the sliding door back and forth such that you have enough clearance to peel away and lift the door panel away from the sliding door. Okay, so with the interior door panel removed, this is what you're presented with. It's basically a water shield that you can essentially start peeling back on the bottom side. Sometimes it'll just come off really easily like this one does, and you just very carefully pull back enough to expose the cables and electronic mechanisms. The part in question that's failed is this piece right here, and you'll notice that there's a little arm here and a spring that is supposed to actuate when we press the button to open the door. And you notice that it has trouble pushing down. And so the other way that this system is actuated is that normally that vertical door handle is here, and then there's a series of cables that connect to the outer door handle that help push this latch down that unlocks it. So you see, it doesn't jam, but you can hear the motor taking a lot longer to engage. So if I hold it, the door will function correctly, which means this piece needs to be replaced. Okay, so with the door about open halfway, first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the power connector on this motor assembly. And we can squeeze a little tab right here, pressing it, and then using a flat bladed screwdriver, just pry the connector against the body of this motor. And you shouldn't need a lot of force to disconnect the wiring harness. Then we're going to take a pair of needle nose pliers and we're going to grab the lower portion of the spring and just tug and maybe give it a twist to disconnect it from this little arm right here. Then using our Phillips number 2 screwdriver, we're going to remove 1, 2, 3 screws. And then grasping the motor, just lift it straight off of the bracket. And that's what the back side looks like, and the front side. So this is the replacement part that we're putting in. You have to buy it at the dealership is my understanding. There's no aftermarket replacement. It's Honda part number 72623 SHJ-A21. So we can reinstall this, but pay special attention on the back here where the power connector is. There's a little notch in this bracket that it's supposed to sit in. So make sure that you put it back into place. All the holes should line up perfectly. Once we've lined it up, reverse the installation. Reinsert the end of the hook into the little hole in the actuator. And if you need to rebend the spring just to give the spring a bit of curve, make sure you do that so it doesn't pop off. And then reconnect the power connector. So using our remote, let's try out the sliding door. You can even pay attention to that actuator arm and notice that how it pushes it down with a nice authoritative buzz, and it presses down on that assembly without struggling like the old motor did. Now we can try the outside door handle by just giving the handle a gentle tug, which will activate the automatic door system. Try that again, just a gentle pull. Nice and smooth. Now that we're done testing, shut the power back off. Now to reinstall the inner door, water shield, you just basically have to either use some tape or even a bit of adhesive or some putty if you have some, if you want it to really stick, and then line up the holes in this cover to the holes in the sliding door. Now prior to reinstalling the interior door panel, make sure that all the securing rivets are in place. There should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pop rivets. Okay, if you're missing any, make sure that you get replacements, because otherwise this door panel is going to be flopping around or rattling because it's not secured. And to install the door panel, we're going to have the door slightly open, again with the power door switch turned back off. That the panel is going to go on. You press firmly up against the glass. If you have to push the door out a bit more to get some clearance or bring it in, you can. And you're just going to line it up. And then just tap it down very gently on the top edge. And then you'll see that the power door lock slider, or the door lock slider, as well as the internal actuator rod, lines up in the openings of the door panel and doesn't bind. Using your fist, give the edges of the door panel a few solid blows to engage and lock the clips to the door. Make sure you pull the cord out so that you can plug back in the power window switch, and then line up the little pegs into the holes. But before doing so, this back piece here, you'll notice has got a bend. That actually gets tucked in like that first, and you push it forward and then snap it in like so. Now we're going to reinstall the window trim. The first step is to actually install this back portion first into the door panel. So you push this bottom edge in first, and then you kind of have to pull this outer edge into the frame and then snap or align those holes, and then just give it a good tap to push everything in. Same thing, before you snap this edge in, you want to fold this edge into the door panel first, snap that in, and then pop that all in. Now we mustn't forget the two visor clips that we had removed that hold up the side visor. This is an up-close view of the sun visor hook. You'll notice that when we unlocked it, that it's down, which allows us to insert it easily into the hole, and then to lock it, you press up to engage that lock so that you can hook the side visor back in. Now earlier, I pulled this clip out from the door handle. To do a reinstallation, you're going to reinstall this clip into the bottom side of the handle. So the handle sits this way. There's a notch on each side. You're going to put the clip in from the bottom up and just slide that in so that each side has the wire. Okay, so this is the handle right side up. You can see the outline of that clip in here. Okay, little notch here, and then the bottom wire piece. You just simply line up the handle so that it engages the splines, and then using a swift blow with your fist, tap it on until it snaps into place. Give it a tug, make sure it's locked. Once we've reinstalled everything on the door panel, turn the power sliding door switch back on. Test the door with the inside handle. So as you guys can see from this repair video, that replacing the power actuator motor in your third generation Honda Odyssey can be done with a few basic hand tools, and a replacement Honda solenoid. If you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, and thanks for watching.